All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and a lot to talk about today. So we're going to dive into it all, guys, just right out the gate. Before we get into it, though, if you guys could smash the like button, that'll help get this out to more Utah fans. Also, the show is brought to you by the 1012 Network. 1012 Network is sponsored by Charlie Hustle. Definitely check out their clothes. Charlie Hustle, vintage made fresh. Really, really great stuff. I love their clothing. I wear it all the time, even when I'm not making videos. I'm living out here in Virginia now on the East Coast, and it is kind of nice to be wearing Utah stuff. A little unique. It's when you're in Utah, it's almost like, you're always wearing Utah stuff, and it's so natural because everyone's wearing Utah or BYU or UVU stuff. But out here, you're the only one wearing it. So I'm repping the squad out on the East Coast. So good to be here with you guys. And yeah, and Charlie Hustle, vintage made fresh. Really, really great clothes, guys. Seriously, check them out at charliehustle.com. You can get 15% off with code 101215. Really great stuff. So, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we put out a ton of Utah Utes football content. Let me know how the volume's coming through. Let me know how you guys are hearing me, if it's good or bad. If it's neither and it's just fine, let's go ahead and just dive in. Okay, guys, and as I talk about this, I know we're all a little exhausted, but I haven't really talked about this since the game happened, and I would like to get your thoughts on what happened on Saturday or Sunday morning for me at the end of the game, and I'm going to give you guys my kind of thoughts. It's been almost a full week now to kind of let it marinate, really come to terms with what happened on Saturday. First off, you have to accept the fact that we did extremely poor on offense in the second half. That there's no getting around that. And I'm not going to blame everything on the play calling, but clearly the play calling was bad. Again, I bring up that 3rd down and 10 where we ran the ball and we're on their side of the field. For some reason, we go ultra super conservative and decide to just get a few yards instead of just instead of go for the win. And that's football is going to get you back, right? Karma is going to get you back. If you don't go for the win and you play not to lose, well, you're going to lose, right? That's kind of what happens there. That's kind of where I'm at with the BYU game. Yes, even after the fact, I'm still of the opinion that was a terrible holding call. Joel Klatt came out and said it was a terrible holding call as well. And I'd like to think that people can consider him a pretty, he's a pretty pro-Utah source. I'll give you that if you're against the call or if you think the call should stand. But at the same time, he is a very knowledgeable source. You got to at least give him that. And he knew what he was doing. Honestly, I feel like the more I watch back the clip of that holding call, the more frustrated I get. Just as a small example, the wide receiver grabs his face mask, right? The wide receiver grabs Zamiah Vaughn's face mask during the so-called holding play. Just nuts, dude. And you guys are probably in a similar boat to me. Utes production, I see your comment here about Brandon Rose not being pretty much out of commission in the second half, which we didn't know at the time. I'll touch on that in a minute here. But I do just want to finish up with the BYU game. Just emotionally, that was a tough one, right? It's been such a brutal, tough season that we really thought we were going to have you can go back and watch the live stream of the game, guys. It's almost embarrassing. I was so excited and so happy because I thought the game was over and Utah beat BYU, and then that holding call comes in 5 seconds after the play. Sure, the flag was thrown at the very end of the play, but the actual when it appeared on ESPN was about 5 seconds after the play. Real kick in the groin there, guys. Real rough go. I don't even like talking about it. But it is what it is. We dust our shirt off and we move on to bigger and better things. Is what it is, right? So now let's go ahead and talk about the Brandon Rose thing. So, Ute Productions just commented this. It doesn't help when Rose was crippled though. I don't know if you saw, but he was unfortunately injured in the first half, not the second. I don't know why they didn't put Isaac in unless Isaac is hurt too. So Brandon Rose's mom said, did she say he was injured in the first or the second half? Let me look. I retweeted her tweet. Let me just see. What was it? In the second quarter. So in the second quarter, he was injured. So it's a rough go. Yeah. So if you guys aren't aware, Brandon Rose's mom tweeted, I'll put that up on the page here. Let me share this screen. This is from Brandon Rose's mom. I believe that's who she is. She's related to him in a different way. Prayers for Brandon, please. Brandon will be having surgery today. He was injured in the second quarter just before halftime. He tore his Lisfranc ligament. They gave him heavy pain meds and a steel-plated insole so he could continue playing. The doctor couldn't believe he was really even able to walk. This is extremely painful, and your foot is totally unusable. Fortunately, with surgery, he will make a full recovery and come back stronger than ever. I will be with him in Utah for a few days to help out. We so appreciate all the calls, text messages, and support. Sucks for that kid, huh? Sucks for that kid. I don't know what else to say there. He really seems like a great guy. He brought a much needed spark to this Utah offense in a time of need. Brandon Rose did. And so definitely a rough go to see him, kind of have his season ended like that and not even get a win out of it, right? If you're going to have your season end when you played a good first half, I'd say though that leaves me it's kind of a double-edged sword, and I'll explain what I mean. So Brandon Rose, for me, not everyone seems to agree with this. It seems like the majority of us agree that Brandon Rose overall looked very good. Like just as an overall statement, I thought Brandon Rose looked very good. Could you nitpick stuff and say that there was problems? Yeah, for sure. And, I'm the king of nitpicking stuff. But I feel like from what we had been seeing for a while, to see what Brandon Rose brought to the table was very refreshing and felt great. Greg Hawkins says, oh, man, my mouse is screwing up. Go Utes, immaculate vibes. Yeah, Greg, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Good to have you. Greg says, we getting that Ferrari Batari treatment. I am not aware who's starting. Does anyone know? First, is Luke Batari starting? If anyone could comment that in the chat that has any information on that, because I'm going to dive into the Utah versus Colorado breakdown here, and that could affect how I break that down. So let me know if anyone knows anything. Even though Greg said that, until somebody confirms that, I'm going to go ahead and assume Isaac Wilson is starting. The other thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys saw this. Micah Pitman posted a video on X, formerly Twitter. Let me see if I can get this with audio here for you guys. Let's see. Here, I'm going to start playing it, but I need you guys to let me know if you can't hear it, okay? So I'm going to start playing it. Let me know if you can't hear it. Can you guys hear this?
Anything like that, because the one thing about me and the way I was taught and raised was to always, stick up.
Can you guys hear it?
And all those things. So I don't want any false narratives or anything going around about me. So I'm here to give a short, honest, and very brief.
Okay, great.
Reason on.
I'm going to let this play for just a little bit here.
Now. So let's backtrack from camp. I had a great camp. I was doing very well. I was one, if not the most productive receiver during fall camp. And everything was going well. Started getting the ball out, doing things, getting great opportunities from coaches. And then I had a hiccup, and I ended up getting rolled up on pretty well. With that happening, it looked like a very gruesome and serious injury. I ended up coming out very lucky in a way. So basically, I partially tore my Achilles, laterally tore my ligament in my left ankle, and had a high ankle sprain. So I had great trainers, and they kept me going and kept me available to play. But the pain just started to become unbearable, especially throughout the season. And I just felt like I couldn't be myself just because I was playing through so much pain that was almost unbearable. And I started taking Toradol's for the game, before every single game, because it was so painful. And then the Toradol's ended up resulting in me peeing blood. And that was definitely a red flag. I never peed blood in my life. So I obviously got really scared about that, talked to my parents about that. And I went and got testing by doc. Everything came back good. I wasn't positive for any type of kidney failure.
I'm not going to show the full video, but I'll let it go for like another minute or so you guys can kind of get most of the story.
At this point, due to the pain. So then basically peed blood again, and I started to get a little concerned about my health. My stomach was hurting a little bit, all those things. And at the end of the day, these are all ultimately up to me. I wanted to play. I wanted to be out there. So I was the one saying I need it. I want this type of rehab. So I'm not faulting anyone at the University of Utah at all. I have a bunch of respect for Coach Whittingham, all the coaches there. At the end of the day, I wanted to be available and not let the coaches down. So that is ultimately on my shoulders and what I decided to do. With the injury, a lot of the reports say 9 to 12 weeks.
Okay. So I'm thinking you guys hopefully can't hear it anymore. But that is what happened with Micah Pitman. And I just want to give him an apology on my end. I wouldn't say I was like crapping on the guy, but the fact that I have to say, I wasn't crapping on the guys means that I was a little negative. Micah Pitman had not lived up to expectations. He had very small flashes from time to time, but you listen to that video. I mean, the guy had a traumatic injury, and it seems like it was just getting worse and worse and worse, and he was doing everything he could for the program. So just a warrior. So shout out to Micah Pitman, man. If you are watching this, I am sorry for being so hard on you this season. That is rough. That is awful, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. And thanks for putting so much on the line and so much of your energy into being a Utah Ute. I love to see it, and I'm glad you have that heart. In the chat here, I should take this off. In the chat here, we have Sco Buffs says, or Pete Barber says, Sco Buffs. We coming, we ain't hard to find. Well, we're actually coming to you, pal. We're coming to Boulder, and we're coming to you. We're not hard to find either, dude. We're not hard to find either. So we're gonna come, dude. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna come in there, and we're gonna give you a go. If you're not expecting a go, you might be disappointed. Now, will it be a go for all 4 quarters? That's a better question, and we're gonna talk about that here in a minute. But Rion Martel says, seems like if the players are playing hurt, they probably shouldn't be playing. I mean, that video from Micah Pitman, I don't know how you guys feel after listening to that, but you just feel bad for the kid. I mean, that's a guy in his early 20s, right? Just trying to do everything he can to make it happen, and just, oh man, the adversity he was fighting through. Shout out to him. Okay, so one other thing to talk about that happened earlier, it was either today or yesterday. Jalen Glover is transferring out. So Jalen Glover, he says, thank you to the University of Utah for welcoming me to my new home with open arms and we built so many lasting relationships with staff, teammates, and fans. With a brave heart, or with a heavy heart, my family and I have made a decision that we pray will benefit my future. With that being said, I will be foregoing the remainder of the season and redshirting to sustain my eligibility. I will be entering my name in the transfer portal on December 8th with 2 years of eligibility remaining. So that is Jalen Glover, right? That is Jalen Glover. And Jalen Glover, just a fun note, every time I talk about him, I feel like I bring this up. But Jalen Glover was the first recruiting breakdown we ever did on this channel. So fun little fact there. And he kind of sparked the whole idea of doing recruiting breakdowns. And great tape by Jalen Glover. And I'd go as far as to say, overall, Jalen Glover had a very underrated Utah career. I enjoyed a lot of what I saw from Jalen Glover. And I think anyone acting like he wasn't a solid, solid to above average to possibly good running back is underplaying what he did here. I liked Jalen Glover when he came in here, and then I liked him when he was on the field. I don't have much bad to say about Jalen Glover. I'm actually pretty, underwhelmed to see Jalen Glover leaving. He's a solid running back. You definitely don't like to see that. S represents as thought the Utes had BYU. I thought we had BYU as well. I think, a lot of us got quite confident that we were going to pull out that win. That is not how it went down. A lot of questionable situations. But it is what it is. That's what happened. Greg says the floor is collapsing underneath us, Joseph. Yeah, it does kind of feel that way. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's definitely, since I've been covering the channel, clearly the worst season we've had. Like, even if it gets uphill from here on, this season has been just a kick in the groin after kick in the groin after kick in the groin. It is just boom, 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 boom. And you know me, I'm usually a pretty positive guy, but some of this stuff to just keep coming back up to the plate with a smile and just getting fastballs chucked to your teeth, that's a tough go. Greg says, I haven't seen a season like this in 30 years. Yeah, it's tough, man. And it really, I would say the toughest part of this year is it really feels like every time things are looking good, they're bad again. Cam Rising goes in. Then he gets injured. He's out for the season. And then what's it called? Isaac Wilson goes in on Oklahoma State, looks good. And then since then, just nothing, just no consistent play ever, just tough to watch. And then Brandon Rose, you finally get things going with him. And then after that, it's just he gets injured and we don't really have something I'm super excited about at quarterback right now. And I don't like saying that, but that's just where my mind is. You think about this quarterback room, it's really Luke Batari and it's Isaac Wilson. And I'm just being real. I don't think either one of those guys is a difference maker at the moment. I think Luke Batari is probably a better decision maker and a guy that will run the offense a little better than Isaac. But I think Isaac is, a worse decision maker and won't run the offense as well. But he is he has a little more big playability and has that difference maker potential if everything's clicking. So is what it is there. It's been a rough year, guys. And, I don't think that's the last transfer to come through. I think we'll see quite a few more. I would say, though, as a piece of input that I can give to maybe put a little more of a positive spin on things, as much as all that does suck, right? Like, we have been hit with a tornado of crap and just really struggling to keep fighting for this year. I do think one good thing to come of all this is the quarterback situation, because Brandon Rose was looking hot, but you can't take a game and a half of good to decent play and extrapolate that into next year as if we have our guy. I would have loved Brandon Rose to finish out 4 or 5 games and really look like that guy for a decent sample size. And maybe we could, put a good amount of your chips into that. But that's not where we are right now. Trigger warning says Utah too banged up, way too banged up, bro. It is like 2 seasons of just, and then I haven't even mentioned it. Brant Keithy out for the year. I mean, damn. It just gets bad news. It's just rough. Anyways, but the silver lining of all this is that in the offseason, the QB position is anyone's to grab, which means if the Utah athletic department is willing and the Utah boosters, right, all that stuff, if they're willing to put out the money, we can bring in a good quarterback. Now, I think no matter what, I'm going to really hope that we bring in a decent quarterback. Obviously, when I say this, this next thing, don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't want Charlie Brewer from the other year, a couple of years ago, to be on this team, but a Charlie Brewer-esque guy to transfer in, like what we thought Charlie Brewer might be, would be a great addition to this room. I'd like more than that. I'd like a bona fide, like, good quarterback, or at least above average quarterback that could come in and make an immediate impact, but just someone that's proven it at some level would be very beneficial to this team. Trevor says, go Utes. Greg says, we aren't ready to talk about Charlie Brewer. Might have been good under a spread offense. Yeah, I don't know how good he was going to be under anything, dude. That was tough to watch. Okay. Well, now let's talk Utah versus Colorado. So let's throw the matchup on the screen here. Boom. So Utah versus Colorado. Let me get this matchup on the screen. Boom. Man, I'm going to tell you guys, just before we dive into it, we got a lot to break down. I'm not going to tell you guys what I think yet, but this is probably for me one of the least optimistic games I've gone into this year, like breaking it down. Not that Colorado is some sort of behemoth of football or that they're just a steamroller and we just can't compete with them. That's not what this is. It is that we are tough to watch right now. And I just don't even know what to say, right? Oh, Utes Production says, I have some theories on who I think is transferring. I miss Glover. He was actually a baller, extremely underrated. I already know for sure former 4-star wide receiver Tayshaun Lyons will be transferring out. Yeah, you know what it is, though, with Tayshaun? I'm not that stressed because, like, he transfers out of Washington after only 1 year. And right? And think about how wide open that wide receiver room was for Tayshaun Lyons after, like, 3 receivers left that room to go to the NFL. And that room was wide open. So why did he leave? Something's going on there. So I'm not going to comment too much on it, but is what it is. I'd love to hear your theories, though, Utes Productions. But, guys, let's take a look here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Oh, never mind. Crap. Hold on. Ugh. All right, so let's take a look here, guys. So looking at the screen here. So Isaac Wilson, actually, before we look at the matchup alone, I'd actually like to dig in more on Isaac Wilson's stats. So a lot of people have been talking about how Brandon Rose wasn't that much better than Isaac Wilson. I do want to just kind of show you guys what we're talking about here. So you look at Utah State, which wasn't the worst game in the world for Isaac. I actually thought it was a better game than what this stat line says, this 49 QBR. And just so you guys know, QBR is one of the best ratings you can look at for quarterback. I actually probably hold it higher than PFF grades just because I don't think PFF is always great, like for quarterbacks specifically. But 49 QBR there, and then a really good QBR against Oklahoma State, a 76, but then a couple real rough ones, a 15 against Arizona, a 22.4 against TCU, and then a pretty rough one, not dreadful. It was very similar to Utah State, the 45 and then the 49. I think it was just the difference was it was flipped, right? Where Wilson had a good second half against Utah State, he had a better first half against Houston. Yeah, he actually put up some numbers. It wasn't consistent. That's why the QBR looks so bad. It wasn't consistent. And if you're the reason your team's not able to drive the ball, that's a problem. And I'm sure you guys are already picking up on this. I'm going off the presumption that Isaac Wilson will be the starter on Saturday. I don't even disagree with that. I mean, Batari's not a terrible option, but don't forget with Batari last year with a very good team around him, we barely beat Colorado without Shedeur Sanders. They're going to score some points, and you need something, right? You need something to happen. You are not winning this game if you score 14 points. We'll talk about that more, but now I want to show you guys Brandon Rose because I feel like there has been a decent amount of hate and people acting like he didn't have a good game. But take a look here, guys. Against Houston, Brandon Rose, rough QBR, right? But against BYU, Brandon Rose, a 72.7. And I thought he looked awesome. I actually think both of those QBRs are a little low. And he had the 55 rushing yards. But you take a look here, guys, 11.4 against Houston. No one thought he had some crazy game against Houston. But what we did see against Houston for Brandon Rose was, okay, this guy's got some swagger. He's got some confidence. He's moving very fluid. I like what I see here. And then, you look at that, guys. The only game Isaac has even had in the ballpark of the one game where Brandon Rose had a game plan around him, and then a lot of this grade was his injury too. So it could have been a much higher grade. It was a 72.7. So I'm just saying, guys, that you got to be happy about what Brandon Rose looked like. Again, we can't bank anything on it because he got the injury and that sucks. And he's out for the year. I know Trigger Warning posted, oh, did I miss it? Rose out. Yeah, Rose out for the season. So Flick says, or Fluck maybe, says Buffalo. Well, great. Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling to be a Colorado fan. You were kind of the laughing stock for a while there of the Big 12. And now, you guys look pretty damn good. Good for you guys. Shedeur Sanders, taking a look here at his QBRs. So you can tell, guys, this is what we're talking about, right? This is why 70s is good. Like, Shedeur is not crazy higher than 70s most of the time. So 70s is a good game. But you can see Shedeur Sanders is an elite college football quarterback. There's not a lot of bad games in there, and there's a lot of good ones. And what we're going to have to deal with, guys, is a very, very powerful passing attack in Colorado. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am struggling to see where our offense is going to put up enough points to keep up with this Colorado team. And I do want to hear what you guys are thinking, right? What are you guys thinking we can do to keep up offensively with this Colorado team? Now, I'm going to break it down, some of the team rankings here in a bit. And I think there's some optimism to look at. There's some good things to look at, but I do believe we are in for a tough night, right? Like, it's not an easy win, but more than that, it could get bad. And I'm going to show you guys why. Travis Hunter, obviously, you guys probably all know who he is. A lot of people have him as the Heisman frontrunner. Travis Hunter, he's got almost 900 receiving yards in the year, and he's a starting corner as well. And that in, Big 12 play, very impressive, very good numbers. Ralphie says Buffalo as well. We got the Buffs fans in now, coming in. Okay, well, good to have you guys here. Comment in the chat. What are you guys thinking heading into this game against Utah? How bad are we looking to the other teams? I'd like to know your perspective. Keep it polite, but where's your confidence, like real, actual confidence level that you guys are going to win? Ball Talk, he's got 5 Buffaloes. All the Buffalo fans are in here. Okay, well, good to have you guys here. And if I were you guys, I'd be feeling good. Seriously, like I said, it's sometimes you're at the bottom for a long time. And getting out of there and finally, crawling back to the top feels really good. Flux says 38-13. Utes Production says, if I am Colorado, I am dancing right now, for real. Like, if you're a Colorado fan, you're having a good time. If you're a Utah fan, keep an eye on those guys. All right, so a lot of playmakers for Utah. We have Micah Bernard. You saw him there. He has over 800 rushing yards on the season. And that's been with a struggling passing attack, right? It really has been. And for us to be able to put up those rushing numbers is pretty promising. Utes Production says, but if we win, I will be the one dancing. S represents as CU breaks 40-10. That seems aggressive, but I mean, I'm not ignorant to why you might think that. So let me pull up some numbers here. I'm going to pull up the team rankings. So, boom, passing offense. Let's take a look at this. So passing offense, let me put this on the screen for you guys. Okay, passing offense. So Colorado, you can see them here, guys. They're number 8 in the country, 304.6 yards per game when they are moving the ball through the air. This will be a huge X factor in this game, guys. Can we limit the Colorado passing attack? Now, this is one of those passing attacks that you do not expect to. Flux says, does Cam Rising retire before Aaron Rodgers? Well, I'm guessing you're new to the channel if you're a Buffalo fan, but I'm a Jets fan and a Utes fan. So I'm going to be honest with you. This has been a rough year. The Jets and the Utes have severely disappointed me. It's like one win out of the past 10 to 12 games for those two teams. It is rough. S Represent says the BYU game took a look out of the Utes and playing in Boulder. Ball Talk says Utah is laughable at best. Right now, your offense is depleted and the defense is respectable, but 4 quarters will determine y'all lifeline overall. Okay. Well, how I feel about that comment, I feel like that was just rude. So I'm going to put him in a timeout. I'm just so you guys know, I'm all for having opposing fans in here, but don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. No need for that, right? We're feeling it. We're feeling it. Old School says, go see you. You know what I mean. No idea what you mean there, brother. And then Utes Production says, okay, honestly, you have bad seasons. That happens sometimes. This year sucks. But the worst part of it all is our little brothers having the season we were supposed to have if we both sucked. Yeah. Well, and we could have put a little, scuff on that great season they're having had we been able to win that game last week. And Craig says, why are Buff fans talking smack right now? We all know they're going to win. I don't know if I agree 100% they're going to win, but I would feel confident if I was a Buffs fan. What was I going to say about that? You know what it is, dude? The Buffs fans, bro, back when they sucked for the past, 3 years when they were just terrible, they just never said anything. And this is what I don't like, right? I do my channel, rain, sleet, snow, right? But you got these fan bases like, all right, looks like Fluck. I thought you were a reasonable guy. I'm going to time out you, bro. You guys can't be rude up in here. If you're a Colorado fan and you got an attitude, you want to be rude, I'm going to time you out, baby. You're going to go in the corner for a little while, okay? I guarantee you that much. Anyways, I don't like that. It's what UCLA does it too, where their fans just have no interest in football until their team's really good. It's like, well, Utah, we live and breathe football, dude. And so whether Utes are good, bad, we're still about it, right? We're not just coming in whenever it's convenient for us. So I just don't like that. S Represent says, I bet on the Utes versus BYU. I just watch sports. Utes Production says, if I have to watch a BYU Colorado Big 12 championship game, I won't be watching. I'd rather watch paint dry. Actually, that could be a really fun matchup. I didn't even think about that, but that could be a fun one. All right. And Ralphie is also getting a timeout. Did any Colorado fans that want to come talk that crap, talk it in the comment section. I'll time out you like that. Right? I'll time out you like that. Yeah, I don't mind doing it at all. I want you guys in here, but if you're going to, if you guys are going to pull this crap. Anyways, so team rankings, Colorado is one of the best passing offenses in the country, as you can tell by the numbers listed above. But also, my work computer is a Mac, and I swear, going back to my home computer, it's always just a weird transition. And then Utah, we are 93rd in the country with 198 passing yards per game, right? That's a rough go. That's a rough go. And it's evident that our quarterback situation has just been miserable, right? Just awful. God awful. Old School says, don't feel bad for us. We get that a lot. Okay. Now let's move on to some of the positives. Okay. So, yes, they are going to come in. Colorado will be, and they're going to have a really high-powered passing attack. They are. It is what it is there. The good news for us guys is our pass defense has not been the problem, right? 188 passing yards per game allowed. That's really good. Just so we're all on the same page. That is elite level numbers. And so I do see us keeping this Colorado team in that 250 passing yard range, maybe 21 to 24 points. I really believe that, especially if they're you said miserable first. I don't know what you're talking about there, APA shooter. I don't know if you're talking to me. But you look here, Utah, 188 passing yards per game allowed. And then what I'm going to show you guys next should get you optimistic, because the trick is going to be to shut down the passing game. But also for Colorado, let's pull up their rushing yards per attempt. And I think this might get you guys excited. So Colorado is third from last in rushing yards per attempt at 2.7 yards per carry. So they're very bad at running the ball. And Utah's problem all year has been the running the ball, right? Colorado's problem all year has been running the ball, and Utah's problem all year has been getting the ball run on our defense. And so when you look at that, guys, I think to act like their passing game is not going to be a problem is disingenuous. And I actually think because our rushing defense has been so bad and our morale is probably quite down on the team, I could see a world where they do run at 3.3 yards a carry, something like that, like a good amount above their average. But I still think we're going to wind up with Colorado somewhere in this 21 to 24 range. And then the question will become, what can we do against this defense? Now, Isaac Wilson has had a little bit of time to sit down. And I think the good news about him sitting for as long as he did is you got to imagine there's some humbling there, right? Where it's, hey, if you're sitting behind, you got benched, you know how this stuff goes. You're always playing mind games in your head, like, it's not me. The coaches know this, right? Like, but he got benched, and I think he had to learn the hard way. Like, hey, this is big boy D1, Power 5, Power 4 football. Welcome to the club, dude. And I think Isaac hopefully took it on the chin and is ready to come out and look a little looser. Hopefully, I mean, that's where my mind is. That could be a really big win for us if Isaac can come out there and do that. With that being said, let's take a look at Colorado's defense. So rushing defense for Colorado. Let me share this screen. And I do, before I pull these up, Colorado, one reason they've gotten so much better is they are not the Colorado of old. They are a significantly better defense. It's not perfect, but significantly better. Right here, right? They're below average in rushing yards allowed. So not great. Still 149.9 rushing yards allowed. But you got to remember, last year they were like very bottom of college football. So now they're just slightly below average there. And then you look at Colorado, their passing yards per game allowed for Colorado, a little above average, right? And I think this should have us feeling really good, guys. Let's pull up their rushing yards allowed per attempt. So opponent yards per rush attempt for Colorado. Okay, so 3.9 yards per carry is what they allow per attempt, right? So pretty good there. I want to look. Utah, we average about 4.3 yards per carry on offense. So not, kind of somewhere in the middle, right? All right, Flux back. They got out of their timeout. But not bad there, but not good either. And I think it's going to be really what it's going to come down to, guys. I'm not going to break down too many more numbers. I think everyone knows what this game is before it gets started, right? Like Colorado fans know, we know. I mean, at least Colorado fans that have been paying attention. Looking forward to hearing from you soon, and we'll stay subscribed. Old School says, they are the Colorado of old. I just subscribed to your station. Looking forward to hearing from you soon, and we'll stay subscribed. Well, thank you. And anyone else out there that isn't subscribe, guys. I love having you guys along for the ride. I know it's been a tough year, but don't forget, dude, these tough times make the good times that much better. And if Colorado fans aren't trolling right now, they could probably agree with that, right? Because they're on the other end of that, where they had some really tough years where they were clearly one of the worst teams in Power 5, if not in college football. So they can definitely understand what that is like. So here's what we got going into this game. Colorado's not very good at running the ball. So one, we need to make sure that they have a bad time when they try to run the ball, because if they are able to effectively run the ball against our defense, that is a really bad sign. That means they're going to be able to play action. They're going to be able to get us to overcommit. So that's kind of where my mind is. With our passing, or with our pass defense, we need to be sustainable, right? It needs to be good enough to limit them, because we have a very good pass defense, but they're going to have a very, very good passing attack. And so just, keep them to somewhere like, enough, maybe get him a QBR for a Shedeur Sanders of like a 65 to 75. And that's going to do wonders for our team. Like, he's going to make some plays, but don't give him extra plays. Be disciplined, be sound, and don't be screwing up assignments. And it starts with stopping that run game. Don't overcommit to the run. But when you have opportunities to make open field tackles, Van Fillinger, calling you out. Make the freaking tackles, dude. We need to make the tackles in the open field, especially against Colorado. They do not deserve to be able to run against this defense. Now our offense. So right out the gate, I could start with the rushing attack, but the truth is it's the opposite. The rushing attack I could care less if they do great, or, they have to do somewhat reasonably okay, but this game is going to come down at the end of the day to how our defense does and how Isaac Wilson plays. And Isaac Wilson is going to have a game where a lot is going to be on his shoulders. Yes, they are not good at stopping the run, but yes, also, they have watched the film on Isaac Wilson and know if they stack that box, they want to take the gamble. Hey, can Isaac Wilson beat me? I would rather let Isaac Wilson try to beat me than let Micah Bernard try to beat me, right? That makes sense to everybody. Micah Bernard's one of the better running backs in college football this year. Actually, I'd say a very, very good running back in college football this year. A couple down games recently there, but overall, a really good year for Micah Bernard. And then we have Isaac Wilson, who overall in the year has been one of the worst P4 quarterbacks. One of the worst quarterbacks overall. And that's not me hating on the kid. That's just where we are right now. Right? That's just where we are. That's where we're living. We got to live with that. Bro, Colorado fans, you guys are so funny, dude. You guys just like lived in a basement, not saying a damn thing for years, and now you guys are just crawling out of the sewers. But good for you guys. This is just funny. Flex says Isaac Wilson, 13 for 27, 112 yards, 0 TDs, 4 INTs, 6 sacks. Well, that's very optimistic of you. Or at least pessimistic for my hopes, optimistic for your hopes. So, you know what? I am getting a weird vibe, though. These Colorado fans are so confident. I think Colorado fans might. I'm not saying that. I actually think Colorado's a good team this year, like good, but they're not like a amazing team. they're not some world beater team. Like, I personally believe you put them up against a Georgia or an Alabama, they would get the crap kicked out of them. Just so we're all on the same page about that. And I think if you guys are thinking that Colorado is this unstoppable monster, you might be you might be in for some disappointment in the coming weeks. It might not be Saturday against the Utes, but you guys might really be in for some disappointment coming up quite soon. But good for you guys. I'm glad you're having a good season for your sake. You know, we were all worried about you. APA says Bernard is pretty good. He's probably the last leg of Utah. Once he is done, Coach Whittingham gonna put pads on and play. Yeah, for real, dude. That's kind of where we are. This guy says this ain't about Alabama. That's goalpost moving. Jesus, dude. It's like talking to a bunch of guys that haven't watched football in the past 5 years. Oh wait, they didn't. They didn't start. Most of these guys probably weren't even Colorado fans until last year, right? Like, what if you guys were going to guess what percentage of the Colorado fans commenting were Colorado fans before Coach Prime was there? Right? I'm going to take a wild guess that it was less than half. Anyways, though, so the game's going to come down to Isaac Wilson. Isaac Wilson is going to need to make plays. He's going to need to make third down plays, and he's going to need to make plays when they load the box and dare him to throw, because they are going to. And the truth is, that if we don't do that, if Isaac Wilson can't do a serviceable job in that regard, nothing else matters. If you don't have a quarterback, this team will put up 21 to 24 points. I feel very confident in saying that. If it could get higher, right? But if we don't have quarterback play, we're not going to be able to put up 24 points running the ball down their throat when they're stacking the box. So this is kind of my prediction here. Now, tough to say, guys. I'm going to be honest. I'm not super optimistic. I've seen a lot of our quarterback play this year, and it hasn't impressed me. I was so excited about Brandon Rose. If Brandon Rose was in this week, I'd be feeling really good. I think our defense looked great last week against an offense that runs the ball really well, and I think we did a decent job shutting down their rushing game. So, from an optimistic perspective, if Utah can get the quarterback situation figured out, I see Utah winning this game 24-21. I know the Buffs fans in the chat aren't going to like that, but if Utah can get decent quarterback play out of Isaac Wilson, I see us winning this game 24-21. Big reason for that is if we have anything decent at quarterback, our run game will explode like it hasn't all year. Then on top of that, I really think some of these Buffs fans are in for a bit of a rude awakening once they see our defense, right? This is a legit defense and probably the best defense Shedeur Sanders has played all year by a big stretch. So I'm excited, guys. It's getting late here, and it's just a bunch of Colorado bandwagon fans in the chat at this point. So if you guys haven't already, smash the like button, comment down below if you're a Colorado fan, whether you're trolling or you're here to actually hear the perspective. Excited to have you guys here no matter what. And please subscribe to to the channel. We put out a ton of Utah Utes videos. And even if you're a Colorado fan, we put out a lot of Big 12 videos as well. We do a matchup breakdown every week. We do a post-game live. So even if you guys are hating, we actually have 193 viewers. Someone said 45 viewers. We have 193. It's not just on YouTube. But thanks for being here. And we'll be doing a live stream after the game as well, especially because it's an afternoon game. We've had so many nighttime games. My streams lately have been at what time have they been? It's like 3 a.m. over here sometimes. So excited to do one at a decent hour. All right, guys, I am out of here. Have a great evening, Buffs fans. Welcome to college football. I know you guys have only been watching for about a year or two since Coach Prime stepped on. So excited to have you guys here. PNWU with the $5 super chat. Come on, baby. I love that. You top by $5, no buffs. Good. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we are out of here. Go Utes. And see you guys on Saturday.